At your service, even on weekends.
With great prices on 13 name brand tires and no appointment necessary, Quick Lane is ready to serve. Visit quicklane.com.
The Battery, modern-day fire, powering everything from remote control cars to the car in your garage. So when your car battery is reaching the end of the line, or you're wondering whether it is, stop by Advance Auto Parts. We'll test your old one for you, free of charge. And if you purchase a new Autocraft battery, we'll install it for free. Only if you'd like us to, of course. Advance Auto Parts. Let's get you back to the garage.
Most vehicles, most locations. See store for details.
Grow the business.
Keep costs down.
It's not easy being a small or mid-sized business these days.
Compete with the big guys.
But automating and streamlining your workforce management can be. With Kronos, you can easily integrate HR, payroll, timekeeping, absence management. There's nothing to install, no upgrade costs, no long-term commitment, just enterprise-class power at an affordable price. Learn more about getting a competitive edge for your business at Kronos.com. Kronos, workforce innovation that works.
News Radio 1070 WKOK presents On the Mark. It's a chance to voice your opinion on the events that affect life in the Susquehanna Valley. Call 1-800-795-9565 or email onthemark@wkok.com. Now, here are your hosts for On the Mark, Joe McGranaghan and Than Mitchell.
Welcome to On the Mark. I am Joe McGranaghan. The guy with the beard next to me is Than Mitchell, and across the way is not the world's greatest producer, but the world's nicest producer, who it could be great if she had more time to do it.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome, Sarah.
Oh, it's Sarah.
It's Sarah.
I was going to say
Certainly
I thought
much better looking than Kevin.
I thought that Tony Mahoney was over there, Mark Mahoney.
Well, Mark was here helping us get things rolling, and then Sarah's kind enough to fill in. Kevin has a meeting this morning. I think what he's really doing is he's out driving around that Lincoln that he got from the nice folks at Sunbury Motors, and he's probably not coming back until he, runs around the block 50 times or has a great deal of fun with it.
Sarah, how are you this morning?
Oh, I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Just wonderfully. Do you have any subjects in the news that you would like to have us discuss today?
Wow, that's a heavy question.
Yeah,
well,
and I'm springing it on you.
I know that. Well, of course, a lot of the things that we did this morning, were for 9/11 and talking about 13 years has passed since then, and we have 6 moments of silence that are part of the 9/11 remembrance, and the first one comes up at 8:46, which is when the hijackers crashed Flight 11 into the North Tower.
And I think probably you will let us know when that comes around, and we will
sure will
take the time. Okay, thanks, Sarah.
On the Mark is brought to you by the Sunbury Motor Company, a family-owned dealership since 1915. 4 streets in Sunbury, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Find out a lot more about them at www.sunburymotors.com. You know they're nice people if they entrust Kevin with a car every week so he can talk about it. We're hoping he's going to be back here by 9 o'clock to talk about it in some detail. But right now they've given him a Lincoln, which he loves, and
it's a beauty.
Yeah,
it's
talking about all those fantastic things it does. Well, you can find all about Sunbury Motors on the web at www.sunburymotors.com. They're open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have our toll-free hotline number, and it is an open phones day, 1-800-795-9565, or email us at our Lenape Solar email in basket. And that email in basket, as I said, is brought to you by Lenape Solar. They're located at 140 South 2nd Street in Sunbury. You can call them at 570-286-1496, and you can find them on the web at www.lenapesolar.com. At Lenape Solar, they invite you to harness the power of the sun for a brighter tomorrow. You will not only boost the value of your home, but see a significant return on your investment. You can't beat that with a stick. And we have our webcam up and running this morning. At the moment, it's a picture of the On the Mark logo.
with a circle.
With a circle about it, but considering the fact that if it were actually showing a picture of us, it would be me and Than, or Than and I, Which is correct. Than and I. It
Ussens,
would be Than and me.
Ussens.
Than
Yeah.
and me.
Yeah, it would be me.
It would be
or-
me,
yeah,
right. Than and me. So you're better off looking at the logo. But 1-800-795-9565 is our toll-free hotline number. We do have a couple of emails left over from yesterday from Larry G. in Texas, who listened to our program yesterday with Dr. John Pagana. He said, "Thank you, fellas, for a really great show today. It was good for your area and people all over the world who were listening and or watching. I'm sure it had an impact for a person or family dealing with some type of dependency or addiction." Larry, thank you. Very nice of you to say that, and we thought it was a very good program as well.
I was really happy to talk with Dr. Pagana, or John as he likes to be called, because he really seems to be on the right path of trying to find a way to keep all of these people out of jail and making the addiction that we get a medical situation. Now, you know, he's a doctor and he has various ways of going about it. I don't agree with him with everything, but I have to say he really impressed me with his statements yesterday.
Well, yesterday we had an email from Caitlin, who I believe Mark qualifies as the third smartest woman in the world.
Second, third, or fourth.
Right.
It ain't a bad position to be in.
There is some debate on the exact ranking because I'm not scoring her that high these days. It said, she said, what would the doctor suggest for an addict who is non-theist? A 12-step program that involves asking an imaginary friend to help you will not work for non-theists like me and my family. Is there anything else that works? And I think Dr. Pagana came back and explained that the 12-step program defines God as you know it. If you don't know any God or don't acknowledge there's any power higher than yourself, it's going to be an issue. And he went into great detail in that, and then there was a follow-up email from Caitlin that we didn't get a chance to read that says, this guy is in la-la land.
Well, I have to say that, Caitlin, I was made aware yesterday after the program of someone who went through the 12-step program, someone who's in very bad shape, went through the 12-step program. They were a non-theist, and so what they did was focus on a doorknob. And the doorknob was their power. That's what they hung on to. I don't understand it, but I don't understand people hanging on to their various gods in various ways.
If you want to worship a doorknob, Than, that certainly is your right. I won't stand in your way.
It wasn't me. It was someone else. It was not a friend.
Forgive me, I'm going to use that doorknob to open a door. I'm not going to worship it. Good morning, Roberta. You're on the mark early this morning for early caller. Go ahead.
Hi, Roberta.
Good morning. Good morning. I've been listening. I listen every day, but I don't call every day. But I enjoy your program.
Thanks.
You're welcome. But the doctor that was on yesterday was very, very good. And, a lot of people don't realize, but in our area we do have a bad drug problem. And if we have people like Dr. Pagana to help us, maybe things will get better.
Let's hope.
I think
you're right. Can't get much worse, I guess, because a lot of the jails are full of people that used or sell drugs or whatever. And in this area, I think it's very bad. With selling, especially heroin, and if people would get off of their butts and get a job, they wouldn't need to sell drugs.
Roberta, one of the big problems, as Dr. Pagana said yesterday, are prescription drugs. Particularly for
that because I know a lot. I know not a lot, but I know a couple people that get them and then sell them. They get them for themselves, but then they don't keep them for themselves. They sell them. That's how some people in our area make a living. And I don't know, but I take my medication that my doctor prescribes for me, and I don't take other things.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah.
Very good idea. That was something we all advocated yesterday. I think we all made an exception for alcohol because
we all alcohol either. Even I take a blood thinner and blood thinner and alcohol don't mix because your blood.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's a baby aspirin every day. That's one thing people should take every day, especially the older people. Is a baby aspirin every day because it is supposed to help you from.
Well, we're going to get you for practicing medicine without a license here, Roberta. But thanks for your advice.
Yeah, thanks
I don't work for Bayer Aspirin either.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for your call, Roberta.
Have a good day.
Well, along Roberta brought up that topic about drugs yesterday, and I mentioned on the program that there is a loophole yesterday. I mentioned that there was a loophole in the federal law that doesn't preclude people who are on welfare from using like the credit cards they get at marijuana shops in states where it's legal. And Senator Jeff Sessions from Alabama released a letter from Secretary Sylvia Burrell, who said that they have no power to stop because marijuana stores are not included on the list of establishments where the benefits are banned. The government currently spends $750 billion each year on means-tested welfare programs across 80 different accounts. The money is administered by a vast, sprawling bureaucracy with little oversight and no moral vision. This is according to Sessions. Surely we can all agree that the guiding principle ought to be the benefits are reserved for those in real need. He said he plans to introduce a bill to address the problem. The letter, so I'm trying to look what he wrote. It's banned, as I said, it's banned in marijuana shop, not banned in marijuana shops. It's banned in casinos, strip clubs, and liquor stores, and that's it. Those are the only three places you can't use your federal benefits.
Well, as you can imagine, as soon as some other, let's call it vice, opens up to the general public, something the public wants and now has, the law didn't keep up with it, and I'm sure they will. And if you know Jeff Sessions, he is such a prissy man from Alabama that he will make sure that nobody does anything that makes him upset.
Define prissy for me.
Oh, he's just always talking about how things should be. And
well, what's wrong with that? Well, you talk about how things should be according to your version of them.
I wasn't calling him a bad man.
Well, you called him
prissy.
Prissy. I mean, would you like to be described as prissy?
Well, if I was, I wouldn't worry about it.
That shirt you're wearing today, I could describe you as prissy.
Yeah, that's kind of a prissy shirt. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. He's the kind of guy that never got his hands dirty. Well, not in any way real. He never got his hands dirty.
So now you're making judgments about the value of someone's worth based on their work.
No, I'm talking about a man who never did anything, and Jeff Sessions is definitely one of them.
Well, he's been elected to the United States Senate. That's doing something.
I'm not sure that's a real positive, do you think?
Why do you think they elected him? He must represent the people of his district or his state.
Absolutely. Down there in Alabama, I am sure he is very much loved.
Well, there
you go.
Isn't that enough for you?
That's our democracy.
The people of Alabama love him, so who are you not to love him?
An American citizen who thinks that we ought to have freedoms.
Well, do you think that they should be allowed to use their welfare benefits for marijuana and for alcohol and in strip clubs and casinos? You think that's a good idea?
That's not the point. The point is they will make marijuana part of the foursome that are now 3 that are prohibited, and I think that's not a bad idea.
Oh, so you do agree with doing that?
Well, I agree that if you've got those other ones pounced out, yes. You've got to give your kids food. That's the most important thing.
Okay. Frank from Elysburg, you're on the mark. Good morning.
Hi, Frank.
Good morning, gentlemen. Just listening to the misuse of what people are getting as a benefit and then trying to figure out how they can apply it to get or fix their addiction. I had volunteered for a program that helped people quit smoking. Most of the information that was presented to the people was to describe to them and tell them how cigarettes keep them addicted. And it was a very powerful program because it wasn't just saying, oh, you just got to try. It was teaching people the nature of what a cigarette does to addict their brain and their chemistry to the beast that they want to quit. I observed that most of the people had a really strong desire to quit, but the determination and getting them to the point where they have to make a decision and then be accountable for their decision that they made to quit smoking, they literally needed coaches and people and backup and phone calls and a support group. When it comes down to a person quitting an addiction, there is a chemistry that's changed in their brain. They really want to leave the addiction, but the brain keeps circling and cycling back to the point of requesting that drug.
Frank, could we stop you?
We have 20 more seconds.
We don't, Frank.
We're
going to stop. We're going to stop in 20 seconds.
I'm watching the clock.
Don't leave, Frank. We're going to hold you on the line, but I am going to take over here from Joe because he's not going to tell everybody.
Yes,
what we're doing now is pausing for a minute to commemorate or to remember what happened on 9/11 many years ago.
And we were observing a moment of silence in remembrance of those people who lost their lives on 9/11/2001. And Frank, thank you for bearing with us while we did that. Now you're back on the mark.
I hated to interrupt you.
Yeah, and I remember exactly where I was the moment I heard the breaking news on September 11th. And this is just it's a sacred moment in time etched in everyone's hearts and mind to observe that. So
no argument.
Great
there.
honor. I observed that too. Well, back to addictions, and I learned through the program and watching those who are working and helping people exit their addictions. The best part that I learned is how people learned about what keeps them addicted, the patterns. They kept diaries. They learned their own social patterns and what they really need to do to exit an addiction. And boy, they really literally had to change their lifestyle. So addiction and just saying, oh, I'm going to quit being an addict or an alcoholic or a drug user or whatever it may be, people create patterns every day, and to undo that, it takes a lot. So listening to the program yesterday, jail sentence just keeps them in denial of what they want to get into back into their pattern. But really understanding what they're facing is the information they need. So I applaud anyone who is trying to help those in a volunteer basis leave an addiction.
Right, thank you. Those are great comments, and I'm sure Dr. Pagano would appreciate what you've said, and I think you've hit the nail on the head here. Thank you very much for calling us this morning.
Thanks.
We're going to take a break, and then we're going to be back with more of On the Mark on WKOK Radio, Sunbury, Pennsylvania. 1-800-795-9565 is our toll-free hotline number, or email us at onthemark@wkok.com.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, got to go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
Hi, everyone. Steve Jones with the Steve Jones Show. Coming up later today, NBA Hall of Famer Rick Barry, and we'll also preview Penn State and Rutgers. It's 3 to 5, News Radio 1070, WKOK.
Welcome back to On the Mark. I'm Joe McGranaghan along with Than Mitchell. We've been talking about our program yesterday where we did focus on addiction. Our guest yesterday was Dr. John Pagano. As I suspected, a lot of people have comments this morning about the program, and yesterday they wanted to hear the discussion. And
nobody wanted to interrupt
Nobody wanted
John.
to interrupt, yeah. So.
Well, I wanted to just throw in this bit. I was highly addicted to cigarettes for years. Until 34 years ago, I smoked more than most people could possibly believe. And the addiction is still there. I'm still fully addicted. What taught me not to smoke was exactly what Frank did. And that is teach people what it does to you and the fact you are a slave. You're a slave to your addiction, even if it's only cigarettes.
Do you really think that if I were to force a cigarette in your mouth right now, you'd be back to a couple of packs a day?
Probably not, because I'd probably run. But if I
you would say you're fully addicted. I mean, I was addicted to cigarettes at one point too, but since I've quit, which was also 30-some years ago, I have never wanted to pick up another cigarette since. Nothing in my being says to me, "God, I have a cigarette. I see somebody smoking. Give me one. Give me one."
It's been a long time since I've had that much of an experience, but I still sit there and watch somebody take out a cigarette and say, "Oh, that would be so relaxing." I can't do it.
Now, I don't even see somebody take out a cigarette and my eyes are going to burn and I'm going to start coughing.
Well, that happens too.
Cindy, you're on the mark. Good morning.
Hi, Cindy.
Good morning. And, in terms of addiction, I thought that yesterday the physician you had on gave a pretty good explanation about the whole thing. It's a biofeedback mechanism, and some people have what I'm going to call a broken gene. They have a gene that says that puts in place in your body a physical response. You have no control over it. It's not an intellectual process. It's a chemical process, just like blowing up volcanoes as kids. When you poured in the baking soda and the vinegar, it blows up, and you can't think that not to happen. And in drug addiction, the very same things are happening. In fact, when people take some drugs, it damages permanently their own positive biofeedback mechanism, and the only way they can get that positive feeling back is by using chemicals.
Oh, yeah.
Number one.
That's
Number
what...
two, I am furious that we're going to war again. You know, I think about the other day I was at a local big box store, and in that store there was a child screaming like a banshee because they wanted something on the shelf, and the mother refused to give in. And I so admired her courage to stand up to that screaming, even though it caused some of the rest of us to look at her and the child to get all sweaty in his tantrum. And the way I see this is that clusters of our society, I identify them pejoratively as the warmongers, in concert with some politicians who believe we should be at a constant state of war because it funds our economy, among other things, and the press, who was grossly complicit in ginning up that we should go out and take on yet another war. There's no example where this has been a successful model. When Charlie Wilson's war, they made a movie about it. The U.S. government, Charlie Wilson, a representative, said, let's go help these rebels in Afghanistan fight against the Soviet Union. And we armed them. And do you know who they were?
Yeah,
they were
Taliban.
Al-Qaeda. We gave Osama bin Laden weapons, trained his people, and in a matter of a decade, it turned around and bit us in the tuchus. Here we go again. There is no reason to believe that being in a perpetual state of war makes us safe. It makes us poor. It makes us fearful. It makes it nearly impossible for us to focus on what we really need to be doing in this country.
Who are we fighting now?
ISIS.
Okay, so you think we should let them alone?
Anybody who gives us an askance look.
You think we should let ISIS alone if they're beheading American citizens?
I think, yes, I do, Joe.
You do? Okay.
I think there are other powers in this world, other countries, people that we've sold billions of dollars in weapons to, who should stand up and deal with this. I believe that it's the responsibility of the countries adjacent to that conflict to get it together. I think that constantly turning to the United States and us for economic reasons, raising our hand and going, no problem. You know, if we don't have a war, there's no reason to make helmets, there's no reason to make tanks, there's no reason to build more ships. But if we're at war, there's a reason to do all these things.
I think there is a reason to do those things, Cindy, and I mean, self-defense is certainly a reason. We can't appear to be unprepared for anything that's thrown at us in this world, and whether we like it or not, there are bad people out there who want to do us harm. This day in particular, that
group is united in coming here and attacking the United States. But if they should, I have no problem responding to them. It's this Bush doctrine of, if you look at me funny, I'm going to knock your head off. In the process, we are alienating large swaths of the world. We are bombing the crap out of defenseless civilians here, there, and everywhere. Is it any wonder they hate us? I would too. If in the same way that we feel anger about 9/11, well, we're visiting that on country after country. And it's no surprise to me that the citizens of that country look on us with anger.
Okay.
Who wouldn't?
Cindy, thank you very much. In the first place, in many, many ways, I agree with you. Joe would like to say we're not going to even do anything. Well, I'm not sure the arms dealers who control our country want us to do any other thing except give arms to people so they can use them up and buy more arms.
I would say you both would have a point.
$1 millions every week bombing these people.
I would see you guys, I would see where you're coming from if there was a president in there who, like George Bush, was a little more militant or aggressive. But President Obama is considered weak on the stage.
No, he's not on the international stage.
Yes,
it's Fox News who considered him weak.
The latest survey shows that over 52% of the people in this country believe he is a weak president.
Because Fox News tells him that. Look at his record.
This was not a Fox News survey.
Yeah.
It was not a Fox News survey.
But
there is no reason to believe. Now, let's look at what is supposedly the goal, a peaceful world. There is no bombing the world into peace.
Exactly.
There is no occupying the world into peace.
Exactly.
We occupy South Korea. Is that a peaceful situation? 50 years we have occupied South Korea.
Boy, we could argue that point. I don't think there's not occupying them. We're there at their invitation, Cindy.
But Cindy,
when you have 10,000 people, 10,000 military people there, you're occupying them.
Okay,
you can call it whatever euphemism you want to. We are occupying Japan.
Okay.
Tens of thousands.
Thank you.
Obviously, Cindy, you feel very strongly about this, but we have to move on. I'm sorry. We'll try and get your comments again later, and we'll certainly discuss them. Obviously, she feels very strongly about this. We've got about a minute left, and we have another call pending. What were you going to say?
I was just simply saying that, yes, we are alienating people all over the world, and the reason they come after us is because what we and England and other places have done in the past.
Okay, David from Lewisburg, you're on the mark.
Well, I was very pleased to hear the most intelligent of your listeners speak, and I thought she had a lot of important wisdom. And as it relates to addiction, she pointed out, and to put it more in layman's terms, be it tobacco, which is really the gateway drug, and alcohol, once we become addicted, some of us, it's much easier to overcome our addiction than others. So this classic example is, you're not strong enough, tough enough. The degree of strength or toughness to overcome an addiction varies considerably genetically with different individuals. And since war fever is running real high now, and the first casualty in all wars seems to be the truth, we need to do some very careful analysis and thinking, and I kind of respect our current president because he seems to be more of a thinker than one to quickly charge in, and the bottom line is the local people need to take care of it, and if they don't see it as a problem, then maybe we should back off a little bit. And I think in this case, particularly Europe, George Will the other day in his column in the Daily Item basically said NATO is very, very weak, and the NATO members are not paying their agreed-upon contributions and so forth. So the Ukraine is really a European problem.
David, we got to go. We have a news coming up. Thank you for your comments and your suggestions this morning, although I'm a little surprised. I think he said he supported President Obama, and yet Cindy was just talking about President Obama starting this newest war. So a little confused there. Maybe we can clear that out after we take a break for the news. This is On the Mark at WKOK Radio in Sunbury, Pennsylvania. We'll be right back after a break for the news.
CBS News, I'm Frank Sedapani. The strains of mournful bagpipes echoed through the canyons of Lower Manhattan a short time ago as New York City and the nation paused to remember September 11th, 2001, a day Americans will never forget.
I'm Heather Bosch at the 9/11 Memorial in New York. Family members of the nearly 3,000 who died in the terror attacks have gathered here. Many run their fingers over the names of the victims that are etched around the two big memorial pools here. Some have placed brightly colored flowers carefully on those names.
There was a moment of silence to mark the first impact of a hijacked airliner at the World Trade Center and the traditional reading of the names of the victims.
David Scott Agnes.
Joel Alberto de Fonseca.
I'm Peter Mayer at the White House.
Moments ago, President Obama led a somber South Lawn ceremony on this 9/11, just hours after announcing a new phase in the anti-terror fight.
I will not hesitate to take action against ISIL in Syria.
That action will start when intel agencies pick the terror targets. Former top CIA official Michael Morell, a CBS News analyst, sees no good options in Syria.
Going with the Syrian opposition is our best chance of success. The chance of success is not high, though.
But Morell believes the U.S. will roll back ISIS in Iraq.
Before calling it a day, the judge at the murder trial of Olympic Blade runner Oscar Pistorius hinted at what her verdict could be.
It is clear that his conduct was negligent.
And that leaves a charge of culpable homicide on the table, but the judge has ruled out a premeditated murder conviction and a possible life prison sentence in a fatal shooting of Pistorius' girlfriend. The reading of the verdict is due to continue tomorrow. The Ray Rice domestic violence incident may not be a federal case, but the NFL has hired former FBI Director Robert Mueller to investigate Commissioner Roger Goodell's response. Live to CBS News correspondent Peter King. Peter, what are NFL players saying about all of this?
Well, Frank, some say Goodell should go. Unsigned free agent Jonathan Vilma tweets that Goodell purposely didn't gather all the evidence he could have, and he should be held accountable for his lack of action. Now, for context, Goodell suspended Vilma for a year after the New Orleans Bountygate scandal. The Mueller investigation follows a report that a law enforcement official sent the Rice video to the NFL months ago. The league still says no one saw it until Monday.
Unemployment lines grew longer last week. 315,000 workers filed new unemployment claims, 11,000 more than the week before. Economist Tim Quinlan calls the latest figures a mixed bag.
This report is not strong enough to offset concerns about the deterioration in job growth that we saw in the August employment report, but at the same time it's not high enough to raise concerns about hiring going forward.
S&P futures are down almost 10 points, just ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. This is CBS News.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
On March 3rd last year, Henry W. faced his own death with incredible courage. He wasn't in an accident. He wasn't ill. He wasn't in any danger. But he faced this reality head on. If he died, his wife and children wouldn't be able to pay the mortgage, make the car payments, or keep up the life they'd had. His family would lose everything. So he picked up the phone and called AIG Direct. He found out that through AIG Direct, he could get a $250,000 life insurance policy for less than $14 a month. Now, he knows that he's helped make his family's future secure, no matter what happens to him.
Protecting your family with coverage through AIG Direct is fast, easy, and incredibly affordable. Call AIG Direct right now for a free no-obligation quote. The call takes less than 5 minutes, and you can save up to 70%. Call now, 1-800-530-5857. That's 1-800-530-5857. 1-800-530-5857.
The European Union ups the ante for Russia's involvement in Ukraine. CBS's Terry Schultz has the story from Brussels.
The new EU sanctions on Russia have been in limbo since Monday when they were approved by a hard-won consensus, but their implementation was delayed to see if a ceasefire between the Ukrainian government and pro-Moscow separatists would hold. Hostilities have largely ceased, but the EU was obligated to enact the penalties anyway once they passed. The measures will be reversible, diplomats say, if Russia shows a commitment to a political settlement in eastern Ukraine.
Where the Kremlin has been supporting pro-Russia rebels, the sanctions, export limits, travel bans, and asset freezes take effect tomorrow. You can't judge a book by its cover or a teddy bear by its T-shirt. In Plattsburgh, New York, near the Canadian border, state police arrested a man who allegedly tried to hide marijuana, cocaine, and LSD inside a stuffed animal. Ironically, the toy lion was wearing a DARE T-shirt. DARE stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education, an anti-drug program. Frank Sedapani, CBS News.
A touch of oil around the gasket, a little in the filter. The small details got you through the last 100,000 miles, and they'll get you through the next 100 too. Here's another detail you'll appreciate from Advance Auto Parts. Get 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life High Mileage Motor Oil and a Purolator Classic Oil Filter for just $24.99. Plus, get a $7 advance gift card by mail. Advance Auto Parts. Let's get you back to the garage.
Mail-in rebate, void where prohibited. See store for details.
This is Charles Osgood. What is customer service? Well, for some, it's a warm greeting or a smile or perhaps even your name. But for the independent agents representing auto owners insurance, it's about more than that. It's getting to know you and your needs so that you can get the proper coverage. Really, it's better than customer service. It's customer care. Go to AutoOwners.com to locate an independent agent near you. Auto Owners Insurance. The no problem people.
News Radio 1070 WKOK presents On the Mark. It's a chance to voice your opinion on the events that affect life in the Susquehanna Valley. Call 1-800-795-9565 or email onthemark@wkok.com. Now, here are your hosts for On the Mark, Joe McGranaghan and Than Mitchell.
Welcome back to On the Mark. I am Joe McGranaghan. Than Mitchell's with me. The program is brought to you, as it always is, by the wonderful people at Sunbury Motor Company. And I'm trying to build them up in the hopes that they will let me have a very nice car like the Lincoln Kevin is driving.
Can I have one too? I'll even take a little mini car.
What could we say nice about them? They're wonderful people. Everybody over there is just so sweet and kind and courteous. And, you know, they have wonderful service. They just do everything for their customers.
We don't have to say anything. All we have to do is send people there, and the people will be so satisfied by the Sunbury Motor Company and their supply of cars that they'll give us all cars.
Right. I'd like a Lincoln myself. Kevin, tell us about what you're driving.
Well, the Lincoln MKS is what we're featuring this week from Sunbury Motors in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. Adaptive Cruise will let you set the cruise, set the gap you would wish to be behind the car in front of you, and if the car in front of you slows down or even abruptly slows down, your car will do the same exact thing. Lots of great safety features, which is why it's 5-star government certified safety vehicle. Plus, it has park assist. So if you've had trouble parallel parking, you can hit the button. It will find the parking spot for you that is the right size for your vehicle, and then turn the steering wheel and park you right in there. It's a it's like the toughest part of your driving test taken away, and it's all-wheel drive.
Wow.
Hey, Kevin, you were a little late this morning, and my assumption is that you did that cruise control thing and said, set me up a mile behind the car in front of me.
I just set it for cruise control and then just decided not to turn off the road.
Well, and then when do you have to give this back? Tomorrow? Or Friday or Saturday or Sunday? Hello, Kevin?
Oh, he's on the phone. He's on the phone. He's actually doing his job.
We'll be featuring it this week, and then next week we'll have a different vehicle.
I said, when do you give it back?
Friday, technically. Okay, later in the day, Friday, and then we'll...
So if I ran in tomorrow, or tomorrow after you turned it back in, you think I can get a good deal on it?
You might be able to. Okay. You definitely be able to take a look at it, because it'll be on the lot tomorrow.
You haven't
through the weekend.
You haven't slopped it up any, have you?
I have not.
I have no cheeseburgers in the front seat?
No. We have a no eating rule.
Okay. And our email in basket, if you choose to email us this morning, is brought to you by Lenape Solar. The Lenape Solar email in basket on the mark at WKOK.com. At Lenape Solar, they invite you to harness the power of the sun today for a brighter tomorrow. And we've got Harry from Sunbury on the mark. Good morning, Harry.
Harry.
Hey, guys. I'm a little confused about something. Well, actually, I'm a lot confused about something.
Okay.
And, Than, I need your help, because evidently, whatever happens... whatever those two journalists did to deserve to be beheaded was our country's fault. And I'm a little curious as to how every time something happens that one of the radical Islamic groups does something, it's to punish America for something they did. Exactly what did we do to deserve all of that?
Well, in the first place, to mention the journalists, they're very brave people who, in very tragic circumstances, that's how we learn about what's going on in the world, by those brave people taking the chances and being in terrible positions. This time, it was particularly bad. Now, one of the things that I think we should look at in history, Harry, is what we did years ago about the oil situation in the Middle East. We changed their countries around. We deposed leaders. We changed leadership because we didn't like them. It's not where we live. We would not like that if somebody came into the United States and tried to do that for us. Now, was everybody trying to do the right thing? I certainly hope so. Do I think they did the right thing? In some cases, no.
So your contention is that it's our fault based on years ago, that these people are still festering over 1950s oil diplomacy.
We've had a 10, 12-year war over there, bombing people. It's been continuing.
No, I don't buy it.
So
Go ahead, Harry.
Sam, let me ask you this. If 10 years ago I stole a parking place from you, today it would be okay for you to take your truck or car and ram my vehicle because it was my fault because of something I did to you in the past?
I suspect I would be put in jail for doing that.
What about all the help we've given them in the intervening time? We've given them foreign aid. We've helped them out.
Exactly. I mean, you know, and it's revisionist thinking in 20/20 hindsight is always great. I mean, here we are. No, let's not develop any of our resources for fuel or anything, but we'll use somebody else's. But let's let them get ticked off at us and fly planes into skyscrapers or the Pentagon or behead journalists because we deserved it. Really?
I'm not saying.
How does that work? How does that work, then?
Well, and where is the retribution? If they do that to us, then are we allowed to go back and behead, let's say, find somebody here in America who is a journalist from an Arab newspaper and behead them? Is that fair?
Actually,
no, because it's our fault.
Actually, I join David and say we should be trying to stop this whole war in every way we can, and I'm not sure going in and bombing a foreign country is stopping a war.
Well, what about their actions?
But you know, too, if you look at history, which you know is what we're looking at here, basically they have been at war in the Middle East since before the time of Christ. I mean,
so we think we're going to stop it?
Well, you don't.
At this point, it's somewhat arrogant of us to think we're going to stop it. You're right there, but war is what's going to happen. So we really have nothing to do as far as being the fault of that. I'm sorry.
Well, okay. You know, and I one other thing I'd like to ask him too, Harry, while you're on the phone. You say it's our fault based on oil diplomacy in the 50s.
I didn't say it was our fault. I said we're culpable.
Well,
we have some input.
Support? What about our support of Israel? You think that has anything to do with it? Do you think we should not be supporting Israel?
Well, you know, that's a good question. And that's one of those thorny things that every president in this country has to come up with the answer to that. I don't know whether we should be supporting Israel. Of course, we should be helping our friends in every way we can.
And is Israel our friend?
Is Israel our friend when they bomb schools? It's not my friend when they bomb schools.
So, in other words, they have no right to preserve themselves, or they didn't deliberately bomb a school.
I'm not. Well, yes, they did.
But now, Sam, think about this. In many cases where they have bombed buildings like that, which on the surface you would look at it and say, "Oh my God, that's reprehensible." But then you look, and there were chemical weapons or other weapons stored in these buildings, whether kids or teachers or civilians were there anyhow. And I maintain that in the Middle East there are no civilians. I believe everybody's fighting there.
Yeah, see, that's one of the problems. I look at them as fellow human beings.
I didn't say I didn't think of them as fellow human beings. What I said is there are no. This is not like lining up the Geneva Convention where you could say, "Oh, it was an officer and a soldier." They're all soldiers.
Okay.
Harry? In old-time England, Harry, when the executioner was about to cut your head off, the first thing he would say to you is, do you remember what to say? Do you forgive me? He was looking for forgiveness for what he was about to do. I think that would be Than. If they were trying to cut his head off over there.
I think you're never going to convince me.
He would be saying, do you forgive me? Before he cut off my head, do you forgive me for the terrible atrocities I've committed against you?
Going along with the guy that Cheney shot in the face who said, I'm sorry, I stood up in front of his gun.
Just don't go
hunting. That was a lawyer. That was okay.
Hey, thanks, Harry. Appreciate
Thanks
your
a
call.
lot, Harry.
Well, you know, Harry's right. Let's go back a minute about Israel. I mean, we have had no more dependable friend and ally in the Middle East than Israel.
Yes.
We have had. No one has been more to us in that regard. And, these groups want to destroy Israel. So do we just let them do that?
Well,
you said we should protect our friends, help our friends.
But do we?
But their avowed cause is to get rid of Israel, to kill the Israelis, kill the Jews.
Okay, a different discussion than what's happening right now.
But it's all tied together.
It is all tied together, and we are muddling in an area where we may not really be welcome.
Well, let's see what Dave from Montoursville thinks about it. Dave, good morning. You're on the mark.
Dave.
Good morning. Probably we might not have as much problem in Israel if the U.S. wasn't given the $440 million a year to the Palestine and Hamas. But anyhow, over there in the Middle East, yeah, I agree with the last caller that, yes, everyone over there is our enemy. We have a young lad at home, he's 33, 34 years old, that he's in all kinds of mental problems because he was over there. He had two of his friends shot. He ended up shooting the shooter. It ended up being about a 10-year-old kid.
Oh, my.
And so, yeah, everybody over there, yes, they are our enemies.
See, that, in my estimation, is the wrong way to look at the world. There are people who want to hurt us. There's no question. There are many, many more people who think that is a bad thing. There are people who just want to make a living and raise their kids and have educations.
But their kids are out on the street. They're being radicalized, and they're being told that we're the enemy, and they're being told to shoot us or kill us, and there's nothing wrong with that. How do you defend against that, if not by force?
How about not being in their neighborhood?
Oh, so we just withdraw here into America. We become isolationists again. That worked real well before World War II.
By the same token, when Cindy said about occupying Korea, I've been to South Korea. South Korea, those people are very, very grateful that the U.S. is there, the majority of them. While I was there was an anti-American protest. All 20 people protested in the city of Gwangju, which would be like 20 people protesting in the city of New York. So, there wasn't much of a protest, but the majority of the people were very thankful that the Americans are there. They're very thankful for what the Americans did to let them have a free country and to help to keep them free and protecting them against the North Koreans and so forth.
Dave, do you think that...
Yeah, we're over there, but most of those people are very grateful that we are there.
And look at the horrible things we did to Japan and Germany after defeating them in World War II. We were just brutal to those people, weren't we?
Well...
We were miserable to them. We built their economies. Germany now has the third largest economy in the world. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I disagree. Well, I don't disagree with the fact that we are a very helpful nation and we do very well. But we also put our own foot in it occasionally.
Well, it's because of our reliance on friendly strangers, right? Hey, Dave, thanks for calling.
Thanks,
we appreciate your call.
Have a great day, guys.
You too.
By the way, I'd like to add, though, that in talking to a few people, not just one or two, but several people who have been in Iraq, the Iraqi people feel the same way. They are very happy with the fact that something was done to help them. They are not anti-American as is somewhat portrayed.
Well, and they said that the brutality over there grew after we got rid of Hussein. I mean, that he kept the lid on. Well, he kept the lid on by repression and by threats and intimidation and murders. So now these people are expressing themselves, as we did, by having revolutions. And to the extent that it's a popular uprising, we need to be aware of it. I mean, I think if I fault us for anything, sometimes we have opposed popular resolutions, right? Popular revolutions where the people honestly didn't want the government they had. That's when I think you mess out. When it's you determine it's not outside agitators, it's the people in the country who've determined they want to change a government and they can't get it through peaceful means. There I agree with you. But here in the Middle East, what we're talking about is not rational thought. It's not people who really care about human life or the value of it or the sanctity of it or the fact that we want to live in peace in the rest of the world. These are people who want to force us into their religious beliefs, which I can see you objecting to that if they came here and said, all right, Than, you're living under Sharia law. You'd
of
like
course.
That? You wouldn't like that, would you?
No.
Okay.
No. And I don't think...
Well, then there is hope for you.
Thank you. By the way, we are going to be pausing at 8:37.
No, we're not.
Well, I think
9:37.
9:37. Thank you. You're right. And also that at 9:03 this morning is when the plane crashed into the South Tower. It was UA-175 crashed into the South Tower at 9:03 this morning. And yeah, you're right. It is 9:37. We're going to pause because AA-77 crashed into the Pentagon. When did the plane come down in the field?
Shanksville.
Shanksville was at
10
actually 9:59. The South Tower collapsed, and then 10:03.
Yeah, I knew it was
is when the counterattack happened.
Okay,
and
the counterattack.
Well, it was the counterattack by the people on
people on the airplane.
United Airlines 93.
Yeah. Okay, you confused me by saying it that way. I would normally
Oh no,
say,
that's what it was. It was. It
yes,
was a
but I would
counterattack.
normally refer to the plane crash as being at that hour.
No, I think I never have, because I've always wanted to recognize the folks on the plane for what they did, knowing what they were going to be up against.
Certainly commendable that you do that. I just was thinking more in terms of the crash, the end result. So we're both on the same page, right?
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a break. You're listening to On the Mark, brought to you by the Sunbury Motor Company. Email us at onthemark@wkok.com. Our email in basket brought to you by Lenape Solar. And we have open phones. If you want to join us in this conversation and tell Than how wrong he is, call us 1-800-795-9565.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, got to go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
Today is the day you switch to Rite Aid for one simple reason. Wellness Plus, the card that gives you credits you can use like cash. Plus, discounts that only members get. Plus, 20% off almost the entire store. Plus, that's for a whole year. Plus, rewards that start today and pile on every time you shop. So, if you're tired of missing out on all the pluses only Rite Aid delivers, visit RiteAidWellness.com to sign up and learn more today about Wellness Plus. Rite Aid. With us, it's personal.
Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green, the iconic cleaning formula known around the globe. Since being introduced to households and businesses over 35 years ago, the family of Simple Green products has grown. But one thing all of them share is my full commitment to their excellence. Simple Green. Try a Simple Green product today, and if you're not 100% satisfied, I'll refund your money. Visit us at simplegreen.com.
Simple Green. Simple Green. Watch SECV8 exclusively on Service Electric Cablevision Channel 8. Get the latest local news, sports, weather, and community events, plus coverage of high school sports, including the Friday night football game of the week, so you never miss a minute of the action. Like SECV8 on Facebook through October 31st and enter to win an iPad or a Visa gift card. Visit SECV.com/SECV8 sweeps for official rules. SECV8, the region's leader in local news and sports.
At Dental Care Associates, they understand the apprehension some patients feel when they visit the dentist. So when you sit in their chair, you can't have a better set of friends. From school exams to crowns, dentures, periodontal work, braces, they do it all. New or returning patients receive 25% off your visit or $100 off full orthodontic treatment. Just tell them you heard this. Call 570-374-2424 or visit dcadental.com. Dental Care Associates, total family care in one convenient location.
My city of ruins. My city of ruins.
Welcome back to On the Mark. I'm Joe McGranaghan along with Than Mitchell, who's out right now stuffing a rosebud into the gun of an Al-Qaeda person, trying to convince them to be sweet and nice and pleasant. And we invite your calls, 1-800-795-9565, or email us at onthemark@wkok.com. We have an email from unsigned this time. It says, if we went to war with groups who kill innocent Americans, we would be at war with police departments all over the country. Every day in this country, cops are shooting American citizens for no reason. What makes these cops any different from ISIS or the Taliban or Al-Qaeda? Well, first of all, name me one city today, it says every day or all over the country, where cops are just killing people for no reason.
Well, you know, you of course have heard the problem in Ferguson. We know about the Florida situation where a vigilante killed an unarmed
he wasn't a policeman.
Kid. No, but he killed an unarmed...
This says policemen are killing killing people all over the country.
I'm not defending it, Joe. You make you sound like I'm defending it. I'm saying I understand why people might, even though I disagree with it, think that maybe there's something wrong here, too. I don't think equating our police department, who I think for 99% of the time do an absolutely exemplary job, and they are wonderful people who put their lives on the line all the time. I don't like to equate them with ISIS, Taliban, or Al-Qaeda. That's a whole different discussion.
But
I don't agree with...
Do you believe they're killing people for no reason every day all over the country?
Well, in the first place, it doesn't say every day. It's your way of exaggerating what it says all over the country. And now we do know that there are several times that unarmed people were shot.
Every day in this country. Is that every day? Do you read that, Than?
It says every day in this country.
Cops are shooting Americans for no reason.
You're
That's
right.
what I said.
You're right. You are right. You didn't make that one up.
No,
That's
I
one of
didn't.
the first.
No, Fox News did it. They're responsible for everything.
No.
But that's what she's saying. You believe that's true?
No, I don't believe that's true.
Okay.
No, I disagree with her note, as I would try to elaborate all the way down. I missed the everyday. I saw the all over the country.
That's a problem with you liberals. You don't read everything. You think you know something based on part of what you read and not all of what you read.
Okay, so what you're doing is claiming that I am underinformed.
No,
I'm
actually... You underread the email.
That's for sure. Actually, though, I have to point out the fact that being a pacifist, I still am a realist. Okay. And I realize we have to protect ourselves. I don't think protecting ourselves is going to another country and bombing. That's what I was pointing out.
So if there were in that country demonstrated proof, well, let's go back to the Cuban Missile Crisis and the way President Kennedy handled that. He could have gone into Cuba. He actually did go into Cuba early through the Bay of Pigs, and he worked with that group to try to overthrow Castro. But when we discovered that there was offensive missiles in Cuba, he could have bombed them. He could have sent troops in. He chose another path. But he was dealing with Nikita Khrushchev, who also had a vested interest in maintaining peace and not seeing his own people obliterated. So the old theory of mutually assured self-destruction came into being.
Yes, it did.
And the two of them offset, and they realized we're coming too close to the edge. But my problem with Al-Qaeda and these groups is they don't have any moral imperatives behind them with respect to human life. They're more than willing to pay whatever price it takes. 20 of their people have to be killed to kill 3,000 of ours. That's a no-brainer for them. It's a brainer for us. We don't want to send our troops to get killed. If I told you we're going to send out 50 troops and 20 of them are going to be killed, you'd have to think about whether you'd do that. They wouldn't. That's the difference between the people we're fighting and the people that are trying to destroy this country.
It's always good to know that you understand what other people think who don't even speak our language, but we do have an email
Well,
here.
If they came here, they wouldn't want to speak it either. They want us to speak theirs.
If your caller thinks there are no civilians in the Middle East, then there are no civilians in the United States. We are all complicit in American warmongering and war crimes. We all use the spoils of our decades, long wars, oil and gas.
And has the writer of this, does they pedal a bicycle or do they use the oil and gas too?
I suspect they...
Since they said we all are complicit.
Well...
So we're all warmongers in this country, huh?
Well, no. What they're saying is... What I was saying, we're all human beings. Most of us are civilians. Most of the people in the Middle East are civilians who want to...
Read this one. We are all complicit in American warmongering. There are no exclusions. We all are, according to our writer.
What he's saying, or
well,
he or she's saying, is that if there are no civilians in the Middle East, it's the same here. It is... I probably believe that it's tongue-in-cheek, and he thinks there are civilians in the Middle East, and we are civilians too.
Well, let's face it. You have to do you can't make an omelet without breaking an egg. Would you agree with that? Sometimes to defend yourself, you have to be violent.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
No.
No. Violence never enters into it. Enters into it.
Violence should never enter into it. Yes, I agree with that.
So how do you defend yourself against violence without being violent?
Ask Mahatma Gandhi.
Oh, he's not around anymore. I'm asking Than Mitchell.
Ask your history about...
I'm asking Than Mitchell. How do you propose we do it? It's your suggestion. How do we do it?
You do everything you can to not let it turn into war.
And what if it does?
If it does, I don't know. Then you failed. You've totally failed as a human being.
So in other words, we failed when the Japanese bombed us in World War II. It was our failure because we could have found some way around that.
I love your reasoning.
Well, that's what you said. Don't blame me for what you're saying.
I'm saying, I don't know what I'm saying.
I know you don't. That's the whole problem.
No, the problem is,
Can you write that down, Kevin? Than finally admitted he doesn't know what he's saying.
You know how hard it is to describe trying to be a pacifist in a country where weapons are the most important thing we own?
Okay, but I'm not arguing your pacifism or your right to it. But I'm just trying to find out how you define these things. At some point, I know Woodrow Wilson said prior to World War II, World War I, there's such a thing as being too proud to fight. And we wound up in that fight anyway. So I'm asking you believe in pacifism. How do we achieve your goal? It's easy for you to say we shouldn't fight. If we fight, we failed. But you're not telling me how to succeed.
I'll tell you what. What you do is work as hard at succeeding at peace as you do at war, and you will win.
And who has done this? Where has this worked?
This has worked in many places.
Where?
Right, not very often.
Give me
not
one.
Very often. I always bring up Gandhi. Not a bad example, too, is Martin Luther King, who didn't become violent when he did what he did. And he won.
But many people in that movement did become violent.
Yeah,
to say that
unfortunately,
say that nonviolence won that is an understatement and an oversimplification.
Well, I'm not sure.
No, it is. There were lots of riots.
Arguable.
There were fights.
That's arguable.
There were riots and fights. But, there were people who wanted their rights and were frustrated when they weren't getting them. At some point, you do have to fight for what it is you believe in and for what you want.
The Federal Bureau of this is from one of our viewers.
One of our viewers.
I think it's a viewer. Federal Bureau of Investigation's Uniform Crime Reporting Program records that 410 people were killed in homicides by police in 2012.
Now, the question is, and the statistic that isn't there is, what number were justified?
It says homicides by police. Now, is that homicides?
I think that's an editorial comment. Homicide is a death by is not necessarily murder.
That's what I was wondering.
The way that USA Today has that statistic is that 400 police killings each year were reported to the FBI by local police.
So it's not homicides as in murder. It's homicides as in they had to shoot somebody.
The statistic that I found that was similar to that was
death by the hands of a police
that sounds much more reasonable than using homicide as murder. Yeah.
No, but if there were 410, the average is obviously, in this writer's opinion, one a day or better than one a day.
Yeah, but
every day.
But policemen, that's one of the reasons that I stand up for policemen. Would you not hate to be in the position of shooting or having the people around you shot?
But under your pacifism theory, the policeman has failed if he has to shoot somebody.
That's
true.
Has he
not?
I'm not going to be a policeman.
Okay, Bob from Watsontown, you're on the mark. Good
Hi,
morning.
Bob. Hey, I was calling in reference to how you have to defend yourself. Let's take it down to a smaller level. If you have a son or a daughter, use a son to make it easier, they go into the bathroom and someone starts swinging at them. You are not supposed to defend yourself? That's what you're saying?
I'm saying get out of the bathroom.
Well, what if you can't?
Well, what if the door is blocked? What if there's someone else standing there? What if you're backed into a corner? You're not supposed to defend yourself. So what you do
I know
is
you're not going to say turn the other cheek because.
Yeah, good point, Joe. It won't say turn the other cheek.
He won't say turn the other cheek.
But no, I think these things are very difficult problems. My way of doing something like that, I don't know. I've never been confronted with it. Don't want to. But I hope I don't lose my temper to the point where I take a human life. I might defend myself. I might try to stop them, but I'm not going to try to kill them. Would you?
Depends.
No, we're not talking about that. But if life is threatened, I would certainly, and I would advocate my children to defend themselves as much as is physically and possible and necessary.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks
You've
very
got
much.
a good point, Bob. Thanks for your call this morning. We're going to take a quick break on the Mark, and we invite your participation. We're going to take a moment of silence at 9:37 to remember.
Actually, let's stay with this for just a few more minutes for that moment of silence.
Okay, so you have too many commercials for the break to take us up to that. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Well, then we'll just go back to your thing. Now, you're in that restroom, and the guy's violent, and he's attacking you, and you're going to defend yourself maybe, but you're not going to kill him.
Well, you certainly put up your arms. You try to get out of the way.
So with you, it's all defensive. You're not going to swing back.
I would hope not. I would hope
you would really hope not.
I would hope not. No, do you understand what pacifism is? You don't go beating up on other people.
But there comes a point where you have to defend yourself or your rights, or your country. I mean, God forbid if you were the President of the United States and we had a Congress of people who believed as you do. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, and God bless you. I know you're a nonviolent person. I know you have your beliefs and you hold them very deeply and very seriously, and you're not a hypocrite in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you honestly feel this way.
Thank you.
But can you imagine what this country would be like if everybody was like you? It wouldn't be better.
Now, I am not sure you're right about that.
I'm absolutely right about that. We wouldn't even be here. We'd have been taken over by the first group that knocked on the front door and said, I want your country.
We might be just like Canada? How terrible.
Yeah, they fought in World War II. You remember that?
I know they did, but look at Canada. Canada is a peaceful country.
Canada was part of our coalition in going into the Middle East.
I know, but now they are a peaceful country with no particular army. Switzerland is a peaceful country.
Yeah, because nobody wants Switzerland.
Why would they want us?
Well, for one thing, we're a big country. We have a prosperous country and a great economy. We have a wonderful, a lot of people aspire to what we have. And enough of them aspire to it that it's worth fighting for. I mean, that to me, anything worth having is worth fighting for.
It's certainly worth trying to keep in every way that's honest.
We're going to take a moment now of silence in honor of the 9/11 anniversary and the second or third plane crash into the Pentagon.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us in that moment of silence. Now we'll take a break. On the Mark, we invite your calls, 1-800-795-9565, or email us at onthemark@wkok.com. We're looking forward to your calls and your emails.
Construction companies. Let's talk value. Your clients want it. Their clients want it. And you deserve it too. That's why JCB, the world's #1 backhoe manufacturer, is introducing the new JCB 3CX. With telematics and a 5-year warranty, both standard, it's the best value backhoe in Pennsylvania. Ready to lease today from only $7.99 a month at Stevenson JCB. Go to jcbpromo.com/new demo. Offer valid until December 31st, 2014 on select new models at participating JCB dealers and is subject to JCB finance approval.
Adopting a new pet is a rewarding experience. And Shelter Pets makes super pets. Your new best friend will steal your heart, bring you happiness, and enrich your life for years to come. You can make a difference in the life of an animal. Adopt and bring home a Shelter Pet today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org. This message has been brought to you by the Humane Society of the United States, Maddie's Fund, and the Ad Council.
Looking for comfortable, cost-effective heat? Look no further than Kohl's Hardware and Eden Pure Heaters. The Eden Pure Gen 4 infrared heater produces clean, economical heat and has no exposed heating elements that can cause a fire, making it safe for use near children and pets.
The Eden Pure Gen 4 heater saves you money. Eden Pure heaters provide heat only where and when it is needed. The Eden Pure's power and portability deliver ultimate comfort, making it warm and cozy from head to toe, anywhere in your home.
The Eden Pure Gen 4 heater comes with a 3-year warranty and is manufactured in North Canton, Ohio.
If you're looking for an efficient, cost-effective, and safe source of heat, visit the knowledgeable professionals at Kohl's Hardware for expert guidance every step of the way.
Eden Pure and Kohl's.
Check out the sale prices in our new circular at KohlsHardware.com and sign up for the exclusive online offers year-round. We're right around the corner, right here in your hometown. Come on home to Kohl's, your home for Eden Pure heaters.
Eden Pure and Kohl's. Kohl's Hardware. Come on home to Kohl's.
Precious moments, quiet moments, new beginnings.
Your home, your memories, thanks to Fogarty Homes. Fogarty makes home building faster, better, and more affordable with Fogarty's turnkey building program. You'll save on stress, time, and money. Look to Fogarty Homes, whether it's your first, second, third, or last home. Great financing with preferred lenders is available. Call 570-523-3203 or take a tour at FogartyHomes.com. Building dreams since 1968 on Route 15, just south of Lewisburg.
Hi, everyone. Steve Jones from The Steve Jones Show. Coming up later today, NBA Hall of Famer Rick Barry, and we'll also preview Penn State and Rutgers. It's 3 to 5, News Radio 1070, WKOK.
Keep that going any longer, we're going to need an ASCAP music license here. Well, welcome back to On the Mark. That's an interesting choice of songs.
You do know the history behind that song, correct?
Well, why don't you tell us?
That's a Neil Young song that was released in honor of the folks on the plane that crashed into Shanksville, Pennsylvania, into the field in United Airlines 93. Mr. Bieber was very known for saying "Let's roll," and supposedly that was the final thing he said, I believe, while he was on the phone to his wife when they were ready to take over the plane.
Well, it's unfair to hit them with this, but I mean, let's face it, if those people hadn't fought back, who knows what else would have happened? If they had just accepted their fate and sat there quietly as pacifists and said, whatever happens to us happens,
Nobody
what
ever
else would have been hit?
Nobody ever said a pacifist sits and does nothing.
Okay.
Is that your idea of what a pacifist does? Then you don't understand.
No, but I'm saying all right, well, what would a pacifist have done in that situation?
Probably gone right up there and grabbed everybody they could, just like he did. I'm pretty sure.
It would be, well, yeah, but how is that different from being caught in the restroom, that example our caller gave you before, where somebody's trying to beat you up, and you said you would hope you wouldn't swing back.
You're protecting a plane full of people,
so in other words,
as opposed to just protecting yourself.
Okay, well then what about protecting an entire country? How is that different if we defend our entire country by fighting if we have to?
We do that. Where there's no
question. But you're
question.
saying we shouldn't. You're saying if we have to do that, we fail.
I'm saying we have there is a better way. Absolutely is a better way.
Was there a better way on that airplane?
Than trying to stop them? No,
right.
no.
So,
You try to stop them. You do the best you can to stop them. I'm not sure that they killed those guys. I'm sure they stopped them.
Well, they stopped themselves, I guess, because they were in control of the airplane.
Well,
but if it hadn't been for those people taking them on, if they hadn't, in great courage and bravery, come out of their shell, if you will, and done what had to be done, who knows? We might have had the White House destroyed. We might have had some other big public building destroyed.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure. The what-ifs.
All right. Well, there are a lot of them. Dave from Montoursville, you're on the mark.
Hi, Dave.
Good morning again.
Yeah.
Switzerland spends $4.83 billion a year to guarantee their neutrality for their military.
Yes.
$4.83 billion.
$4.8 billion per year so that they can be neutral. But they're also ranked the 38th in size military. But they do take part in peacekeeping efforts around the world, like the UN and NATO and so forth, like that.
Right.
Yeah,
and Canada spends $20 billion a year on their military.
Who, Canada?
20. Yes. $20 billion a year on.
But what do we spend? So, I can't remember what we spend.
I didn't look that up, but you were saying about how Switzerland and Canada, they don't need all this military because they're not at war with anybody.
When's the last time they went to war?
They were in Vietnam with us.
Maybe because they're strong, they don't need to go to war.
Canada was in Vietnam. I don't think Switzerland was, but I'm not sure of that.
I don't think they
No, Switzerland wasn't, but Canada was. Canada in Australia was also over in Iraq with us.
Yes, one of the things that I think, and I believe that this goes against my very reasoning, and that is if you are going to do something like we are doing now with ISIL, I think you have to have the rest of the world with you, because there are many ways to squeeze those people. Doing it ourselves with bombing is not going to do it. We're just going to upset them. I think if you have England and Canada and Australia
and then they're cutting the heads off American journalists, and we certainly wouldn't want to upset them, would we, Dave?
Well, the thing of it is, there are other countries. It's just your news stations aren't putting that. Go to the news sites for other countries around the world. It's like Saudi Arabia is helping these groups that President Obama decided to help last night. In Yemen, and so some of these other countries are helping these groups.
Yes, that's what we need. That's what we need is
but they've been doing it. So it's not just something new.
Oh, you're right.
Okay. Can't argue with you, Dave.
It's the U.S. is the late one getting into this.
Okay.
Hey, Dave, thanks for your call. We appreciate your comments this morning all the way from Montoursville. 1-800-795-9565 is our toll-free hotline number if you'd like to join the conversation, or email us at onthemark@wkok.com. We have an emailer who says there are some who criticize Obama, I would say President Obama, for being behind the foreign policy. But in the case of ISIS, he was right on bringing other countries into the mix and not going alone. That takes time to coordinate. Your isolationist caller needs to recognize Obama, unlike Bush, did pull in other countries. But looking at all the online videos, I've never seen so much brutality since the Nazi Empire. If you haven't looked at the mass killings and beheadings in the name of ISIS, not in the name of Muslims, you really need to watch all the YouTube videos. It is clear to me ISIS seems to be on the same playing field as the Nazis, and our involvement is required.
I've heard that.
One thing the writer is wrong about is there were coalition members, even as our prior caller just mentioned, with President Bush when we went in.
Yes, I laughed at that before. I'll laugh at that now. Who did we have? Not powerful countries.
Canada.
But
he just said our prior caller just identified Canada.
Yeah, well, that's not.
They're not a powerful country.
No, that's not Saudi Arabia. It's not Jordan.
You said powerful countries.
Those powerful countries in that area
you
are
didn't
the
say
people.
in that area.
Well, that should be implied. They're
so
the
what if
people who are being.
France went in with us, or Germany went in with us?
I think they would. I think they are. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which countries are right now.
But I mean, there were strong. No, I'm saying when the Bush went in, there were people from strong countries who went in with us.
Okay, all right. If you say so.
Well, I do.
Okay. All right. I think that
you've got to stop watching the Al Jazeera and MSNBC.
As I say, you got to quit watching Fox.
What wasn't that called? The Coalition of the Willing?
I think it was, yes. And what countries were involved? Do you have that up on your screen?
Trying to, let's see. Hang on. I'm still looking for that. If this is the correct one.
Well, while you're looking, we'll take a break.
Yes.
You're listening to On the Mark on WKOK Radio in Sunbury, Pennsylvania. 1-800-795-9565 is our toll-free hotline number. Email us at onthemark@wkok.com.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, got to go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
This is Justin Charles from Lenape Solar. Did you know we use exclusive manufacturing partners? Our solar modules are made with American components in an American factory by an American company in Milwaukee. Our lighting fixtures are made less than 3 hours away in Philadelphia. Even our fluorescent lamps are made here in the U.S., as are our solar racking systems. We're dedicated not just to quality, but our local economy. Find out more by calling 286-1496, online at lenapesolar.com, or drop by our showroom at 140 South 2nd Street, Sunbury, and see these products in person.
Today is the day you switch to Rite Aid for one simple reason. Wellness Plus, the card that gives you credits you can use like cash. Plus, discounts that only members get. Plus, 20% off almost the entire store. Plus, that's for a whole year. Plus rewards that start today and pile on every time you shop. So if you're tired of missing out on all the pluses only Rite Aid delivers, visit RiteAidWellness.com to sign up and learn more today about Wellness Plus. Rite Aid. With us, it's personal.
Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green, the iconic cleaning formula known around the globe. Since being introduced to households and businesses over 35 years ago, the family of Simple Green products has grown. The one thing all of them share is my full commitment to their excellence.
Simple Green.
Try a Simple Green product today, and if you're not 100% satisfied, I'll refund your money. Visit us at simplegreen.com.
Simple Green. Simple Green.
Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day? Teaching a class full of innocent children, or driving down some cold interstate? Did you feel guilty cause you're a survivor?
Welcome back to On the Mark. I'm Joe McGranaghan along with Than Mitchell. And have you found anything about that coalition, Kevin?
The Multinational Force was the coalition that was formed in 2004. It included the United States, the UK, Australia, Poland, the Ukraine, Georgia, Bulgaria, Denmark, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, South Korea, the Czech Republic.
So that's not good enough for you.
Well, where were the rest of them? Where was Saudi Arabia?
Where are they now? Where are they now? In Obama's new coalition, you're just saying that Bush had no coalition.
I believe Saudi Arabia is behind us. I think Jordan's helping us.
So who financed the war when we went in? The first time when we went into Iraq, who financed that?
I think we did.
No, we didn't. A large part of the money
really?
came. What country had they invaded?
What country?
You say you know history. Yes. Hussein, what country did he go into? He triggered that, the first Iraqi war.
Oh, you mean into Kuwait?
Right.
I see. I thought you were talking second Iraqi war.
No, he went into Kuwait. And
yes.
Saudi Arabia paid a large part of the bill. United Arab Emirates paid a large part of the bill for us fighting that. So they have been involved in our...
But our second war, which was completely useless, unfortunately our people died. Nothing was achieved except destabilization of the Middle East.
You heard our earlier caller say that the people in Iraq have been grateful for the fact that we went in and
it was actually Kevin, I think, who said
all right,
that.
well,
yeah.
He was our earlier caller.
He's a gnarlier caller.
Caller. The guy's gnarly. Dave from Lewisburg, you're on the mark. Good morning.
Hi, David.
The first, when we liberated Kuwait, we had a lot of international support. Bush the first was very skilled in that, so forth. Didn't cost us a lot. And a lot of people criticized Bush for not, since we're all there and had all the military, we went right up to the Iraqi border and stopped. We should have gone in to Baghdad and taken out Hussein. And Bush recognized he didn't want to destabilize the area. And that was a very smart, wise move. Now, once that area got destabilized, when Bush Jr. invaded, 800,000 Christians have had to evacuate and so forth. A lot of us don't seem to understand sometimes back to Yugoslavia and so forth. Tito was a communist dictator, but he provided stability, and we were on fairly good terms with him. I'm afraid Bush 1 really had a good sense of international responsibility, and Bush Jr., he caused some incredible problems, and Fox News is classic, and a lot of my neighbors seem to ignore some of the horrendous stupidity of Bush 2 as it relates to Iraq and all the problems by destabilizing the area. But you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you very much, David. And
Thank you, Dave.
I have to say, and David doesn't mind me saying this, he's a Marine.
Okay, well, everyone is entitled to their opinion. I mean, I think, when you ask me, do I think George Bush Jr. or George W. Bush should have gone into Iraq the second time, my guess is probably not. There probably was a better way to handle that. I think some of it was hubris in the fact that Saddam Hussein tried to get his father, and obviously the intelligence that we acted on was flawed. And that's hindsight. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have gone in. But if I knew then what I knew then, if I believed what the intelligence reports were at the time, I might have gone in.
Do you really think that when Colin Powell sat down and held up this vial and said, I know they have chemical weapons, I don't think he was lying. I think that the people who had him say that were lying to him about it because they knew there weren't chemical weapons there. But even
Saddam Hussein himself admitted that when he was in captivity that he didn't have them, that he had gotten rid of it over fear of what might happen. But yet his bellicosity, if you will, he couldn't stop himself from bragging about it. So he was leading people to believe he had it. He was saying he had it. He was saying he'd use it. And so how can you blame somebody for acting on that? If he had said, I have decided to pursue the path of peace, and I have disbanded my weapons of mass destruction program, and I no longer have any chemical weapons, and you're free to come in and inspect because I want you to know that I'm going to live in peace. If we had gone in under those circumstances, we would have been dead wrong. But he didn't do any of those things.
No, he didn't.
He did everything he could to entice us in because he wanted to show his Arab neighbors what a big guy he was. Well, he paid the price.
We fell for it. And 4,000 to 5,000 of our fellow human beings in this country, men and women who went over there,
but what if he had had what he said?
What
if he had had what he said he had, and what if he had used it? Then you'd be saying to us, we should have gone in there. We should have stopped this atrocity from having happened. Chris, you're on the mark from Milton.
Yeah, I think you're using blinders there, Joe.
Tell me how.
It was an organized attempt to create the false intelligence by the government. It wasn't just, the intelligence reports. They were covering up what they were making things up.
And how do you know this?
Well, if you look at the record, it's pretty clear. Like, for instance, the aluminum tubes.
Yeah.
If you read page 39, I think it was, of the New York Times, you found out that story was false.
But if you listen to the government, they said it was true.
I mean, and it was, and their sabotage of the CIA agent, I can't remember their name right offhand.
Yeah, the woman who was
the woman,
spy.
Joe was her husband's name, but I can't remember his last name
Valerie
right
Flame?
now.
Valerie Flame.
Valerie Flame. It was clear evidence of that, too.
Yeah.
And they were the ones that have admitted organizing the leaks to the New York Times about the tubes so they could do that. That's just one of the things they did. Come on, Joe. Look at the whole picture. It was clearly doctored intelligence and intentionally doctored intelligence to get the result they wanted. And Cheney was meeting with them the whole time to get that stuff out.
And do you believe President Bush was complicit in that?
I believe Cheney was, and Bush probably was.
How come they haven't been charged? If this is provable, as you say, how come they haven't been charged?
We all wonder that, Joe.
We don't go after politicians for such things.
We all wonder why they haven't been charged.
We went after Bill Clinton for less.
That's right, because I was stupid too.
Okay, hey, thanks a lot, Chris.
Yeah, perjury's dumb.
Yeah, Tony from Shamokin, we got about a minute left. You've got it.
Hi, Tony.
Bill Clinton believed there was weapons of mass destruction. Hillary believed it. John Kerry believed it. British intelligence believed it. The UN believed it. Everybody believed it, but Than and the New York Times and I don't know that.
Our prior caller.
In other words, they were all wrong, and the New York Times and I were right.
They were all wrong, and you were right. Than.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what you just said. Thank you.
Thank God we listened to them, though. I mean, would you still like Saddam Hussein around, Than?
To balance the Middle East, it might be a lot nicer.
Yeah, we could have used Hitler in Middle Europe, too. We should have kept him around.
Hitler kept things under control, too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did a lot of stuff, too. But, we shouldn't have went after him either. Right, Than?
I'm not going to argue things that happened in the past. We're talking about
this happened in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, are they really comparable? I don't think they are.
Are they really comparable? I don't know. Sometimes you liberals, you go back to a century or so.
I'll tell you what. This is
today.
I'll tell you what. Don't paint all liberals.
Use slavery as an example.
I am a pacifist and a liberal.
You're a pacifist
this is pacifism.
And a liberal, and we should have just let Saddam march on, right?
Well,
forget intelligence. Forget all the intelligence in the world. We should just let it go. Where do you think Syria got their weapons of mass destruction and gas?
I think maybe we probably gave them to them.
Oh, we gave it to them. Yeah, we're the big state. We know that.
Hey, Tony, thanks. We are out of time. I'm sorry. You should have called a little earlier. I'm enjoying you taking Than to task. So thanks for calling.
Thanks, Tony.
See, we've had some people come after me today and some people come after you, so we must be doing the show right. Hey, thanks so much for listening. It's been fun being here with you this week, Than. Tomorrow you'll be here with Ben Reichley.
Yep, Ben will be here.
And unfortunately, I have another meeting, so I can't be here tomorrow. I would have enjoyed it, but I will look forward to hearing you and Ben tear each other apart.
Oh, Ben and I will agree on almost everything when it's time to start the program.
Except that it's Friday, right?
End, yeah.
This is WKOK Radio, Sunbury, Pennsylvania. You've been listening to On the Mark.